For another chance to win £30,000 in tax-free cash, text CASH to 63232. Text costs £2 plus one standard network rate message. You can enter online at gbnews.com/win. Entries cost £2 or post your name and number to GB07 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 5 p.m. on the 30th of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
An employment tribunal has found that a senior lawyer telling a legal secretary that she looked nice created an intimidating environment and made her feel violated.
Well, she's won her sexual harassment suit, so is saying someone looks nice acceptable in the workplace anymore?
Well, joining us now to debate this is political commentator Christine Hamilton, who thinks it should be, and author and journalist Rebecca Reid, who thinks making comments like these are unnecessary. OK, Rebecca, why is it unnecessary to tell your colleague they look nice?
Well, how somebody looks at work shouldn't be particularly important or relevant, but I think my issue here is that it's used as a sort of dismissive way to make women feel silly for complaining about things. Like, oh, it's just saying you look nice, why does it matter? But we all know there are different ways of saying things, and if you are an older man in a position of power, looking a woman up and down and saying, oh, you look nice, in a lascivious tone, which, as far as we know, is quite possibly what happened, that's not acceptable, that's not workplace appropriate, and it would make somebody feel uncomfortable.
Christine, she's right, Rebecca, isn't she? It depends how it's said. If you've got someone who's sleazy saying, oh, you look nice, you're going to be a bit off-put, aren't you?
Yes, we don't know whether this was said in a lascivious tone or not, and as far as I can see, this particular case, the boss went too far and he did a lot of other things as well. But what worries me is that the tribunal has ruled that just saying you look nice could be included as sexual harassment. Now, I think that is ridiculous.
Realistically, women don't make these accusations for fun. Women don't make these accusations to be difficult. They do it because they've been made to feel unsafe or unable to work in a certain place.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Welcome to State of the Nation, daily plunge into the stories shaping our country. I'm Jacob Rees-Mogg, and Monday to Thursday we bring you the insights, the facts, the truth about how our country is being governed. Because what happens in Downing Street matters down your street. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
It's 11 o'clock. You're with GB News this evening. I'm Polly Middlehurst, and in a moment, headliners. But first, let's take you through the latest news headlines tonight. And the police watchdog has said investigators will be examining hours of body-worn video and CCTV footage following an altercation which resulted in a police officer being suspended from duty. Greater Manchester Police say they were called to reports of an assault at Manchester Airport car park where they were punched to the ground and a female police officer's nose was broken. After that, police are shown on a video which is circulating online subduing the arrested man forcefully, including using a kick to the head. A solicitor representing two of the men arrested says they're family members of a Greater Manchester police officer, and the family says they're traumatised by what happened. Meanwhile, tonight there were protests outside the Greater Manchester Mayor Andy Burnham's office. Demonstrators left without any police intervention. Also in the news today, a man charged with attempted murder after the stabbing of a uniformed army officer in Kent has been remanded in custody for his own welfare. 24-year-old Anthony Essen was arrested near his home in Rochester just 30 minutes after a violent attack which left the uniformed army officer with multiple stab wounds. Essen was also charged with possession of an offensive weapon in a public place. He'll be back in court next month. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Colonel Mark Teaton remains in a serious but stable condition in hospital after the stabbing near Brompton Barracks in Gillingham on Tuesday evening. Politics, and the Prime Minister says offshore wind will soon power 20 million British homes as he launched the new state-owned GB Energy company today. He was speaking during a visit to an engineering plant in the northwest, and he said the firm's partnership with the Crown Estate would help turbocharge Britain's transition to clean energy.
Now there is a massive prize within our reach. And make no mistake, the race is on to get there. Until now, I feel like we've been sort of tying up our laces in the changing room. No more. I don't just want to be in the race for clean energy. I want us to win the race for clean energy. And why not? We've got the potential, we've got the ports, we've got the people, the skills, and now we've got a mission-driven government.
The Prime Minister speaking earlier on today. Now, 2 Just Stop Oil activists have been found guilty of criminal damage after throwing tinned soup over Vincent van Gogh's Sunflowers painting in 2022. The judge told Phoebe Plummer and Anna Holland to be prepared in practical and emotional terms to go to prison when they're sentenced on the 27th of September. Those are the latest GB News headlines for now. I'm Polly Middlehurst. Now it's time for Headliners.
For the very latest GB News direct to your smartphone, sign up to News Alerts by scanning the QR code or go to gbnews.com/alerts.
Hello and welcome to Headliners, your first look at Friday's newspapers. I'm your host, Andrew Doyle. Tonight, our 2 wonderful comedians are joining me, New York's finest, Lewis Schaefer, and Cumbria's wayward son, Nick Dixon. Are you both feeling well?
When you call me New York's finest, it doesn't make me feel good.
No, really? Why not? That's a compliment.
I don't want to be the finest. There's too much responsibility.
If he was New York's finest, he wouldn't have left the country and come here.
That's true. New York's reject. That's what I should have said. All right, I'll say that next time. Sorry about that, Lewis. OK, let's have a look at the front pages for Friday. Daily Mail is leading with Labour's £300 green energy bill saving lie. The Guardian has got Chancellor to reveal £20 billion shortfall in public finances. The Times has got hospitals have gone unchecked for 10 years. And the Express is leading with Esther's heart lifted at hope of dying in favourite place. And the iNews, Starmer warned against pension tax hit for 7 million savers. And finally, the Daily Star, the one where Jennifer Aniston gives a staunch defence of cat ladies. And those were your front pages. OK, let's crack on with The Guardian on Friday. Lewis, what's their front cover looking like?
Well, good news. The Chancellor, who's this woman, Rachel Reeves, she says the Chancellor to reveal £20 billion shortfall in public finances. Basically, and this is, I think, every time there's a new government comes in,
yes,
they say there's no money. They left no money for us. And
well, in one famous case, there was a note saying there is no money, just deal with it.
I think that's what they did in America. I think George Bush gave Donald Trump or whatever it is, whoever, I don't remember the running order in America.
No, it wasn't that.
But he got a letter from the previous guy, and I think Obama even gave a nice note to Donald. I don't remember whatever it was.
Yeah, but it wasn't that they'd spent all the money and there's nothing left. Although that said, the American tax burden is quite significant at the moment, isn't it? What do you think about this, Nick? Any thoughts?
Well, they predicted that Reeves will kitchen sink the bad news about the economy.
Is that a phrase?
Horrible. I've never heard it before, but you imagine it means chuck everything at it. So it's just going to be a budget of awfulness, and I guess you'll get to blame all of it on the Tories.
Isn't kitchen sinking a wrestling move?
No, kitchen sinking. How am I the only one to know this? You know this.
It's those dramas from the 50s with
from the 1950s.
Dramas.
Oh, I see. So she's
in black and white. They were really bleak. They took place in the North, and they were horrible work. I think they were the first, kind of horrible working class.
We call them documentaries, Ram.
OK, let's move on, though, to the Mail on Friday. Nick, what are they running with for the front cover?
They've got Labour's £300 green energy bill saving lie, line inverted commas, but because there was this claim that in the campaign from Miliband and et al. That we'd save £300 on household bills with their green energy plan. Now they're conceding that might not happen before the next election, so it is being called a lie. I mean, people quite often campaign saying you'll save money and you don't.
Are you suggesting that campaign pledges don't always come true?
That's sort of what I am saying.
Outrageous.
Obviously, with Brexit it was different. They all happened. But yeah, I mean, I'm suspicious of this whole energy plan. I mean, Ed Miliband, I find it a bizarre choice anyway. One thing we learned is that the country didn't really like him, so why bring him back? And my friend Lord Frost said that this plan will just bring more debt, higher bills, and insecure energy, and that the government are believing their own hype about renewables. So I tend to defer to him.
I love the way he says, my friend Lord Frost.
Did a podcast. It's out now.
Yeah, but no one.
You're always promoting yourself every night with your
No, that's fine. But you should, when you're in a name drop, name a name. Nobody knows who this Lord Frost is.
We just did a podcast. It's out now.
Lewis, I actually think it's quite impressive. You're going to name drop and you mention a senior politician. That's kind of
nobody knows of.
Yeah, but if
you're American, you don't know any of our politicians.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I was.
I'm speaking for the people because I know, because I'm paying attention, and I've never seen Lord Frost's name mentioned.
Anyway, Lewis,
Brexit negotiator.
Any thoughts about this?
You know what? Anytime you see the word green, you know it's a lie. It's inherently the whole climate change.
In any context.
In any context, if you say we're going to save money, it means you're going to be manufacturing something that's going to be put up somewhere that's going to make a lot of noise.
The haters are going to clip this one. More disinformation. And they'll pretend you're a serious commentator. They'll clip you on Twitter. GB climate change deniers. And they'll forget to say that you're a comedian and no one listens to you.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, that's actually the key point. Nobody cares what Lewis thinks. Let's move on to the front cover of the next paper, which is The Times on Friday. Lewis, different story here?
Yeah, well, this is more good news. Hospitals have gone unchecked for 10 years. And this is West Streeting guy says the CQ. Another person I've never heard of.
You've never heard of West Streeting?
Of course. But he hasn't done anything in 10. What has he done for the last 10 years except criticize?
He's not been in government, to be fair.
He hasn't been in government, so he hasn't done anything.
The thing is, Lewis, there's a whole new government now. You're going to have to learn their names and learn what they do.
But they have no political power basis except what the toolmaker decides.
OK, but what he's saying is... the toolmaker's son, you mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
What he's saying is that, you know, it's actually quite serious, isn't it? If hospitals have not been inspected, if things have... That might be why things have gone so wrong. What do you think?
I think it's completely unnecessary to inspect hospitals by the government, by whatever the state, whatever you call the central business thing of the government, is that people could sue them. Is that when you have, it's back to centralization, which is the biggest. You know, the NHS, there shouldn't be an NHS.
Well, that's a different question. You know, given that there is an NHS and it is funded by the taxpayer, surely the government has a responsibility to inspect it frequently and ensure that the standards are sufficiently high.
Eventually, they become locked together, and they basically, even if they inspected each other, they wouldn't do a good job.
Well, I mean, Nick, they're suggesting it hasn't been inspected at all.
Yeah, that was incredible. An interim review found that the organisation was so dysfunctional that one of its hospital inspectors claimed never to have been inside one. This is the Care Quality Commission. I mean...
Wait, a hospital inspector has never been in a hospital?
Inside a hospital or met a person with dementia. So, yeah, Streeting's been so shocked that he's putting in all these regulations. He's changing the whole IT system. He's changing... You've got to report to ministers, and all patient safety organisations will be reviewed. The bonus is there's a lot to reform. He's got no shortage of things to reform, but even he was alarmed about how bad things have got.
It is alarming. OK, let's move on to the Star. For once, they're covering an actual story.
They are. The one where Jennifer Aniston gives a staunch defence of cat ladies, and this refers to Trump's running mate J.D. Vance, who had this clip that's resurfaced, even though it's from 2021, where he described Democrats as a bunch of childless cat ladies who are miserable at their own lives and the choices they've made, and so they want to make the rest of the country miserable too. And Aniston is saying, well, I hope your daughter is fortunate enough to have children, and also you're taking away IVF from her as well, because he voted against this IVF bill that would have made it a national right. And Jennifer Aniston is known to be somebody who tried to have children and couldn't, and actually Adam Sandler sends her flowers every Mother's Day, which is very nice. But so, of course, she's going to be passionate about this. They're using it. There's this thing that Kamala Harris has no children, and it's therefore, you know, it's a
just stepchildren, right?
Does she?
I think
maybe. Yeah,
I think she does.
Yeah, but she doesn't have any children, and the idea is that this could be used against it. I don't know if it's a useful attack or not, especially now Trump's going to be called misogynist, and Vance starts to look like, in that sense, not the ideal pick. In other ways, he's very strong, but so now it's maybe a weak point.
But this is an old clip, right? 2021.
Oh, this is an old clip, yeah.
So he hasn't just said this thing about cat ladies.
No. We hear this idea quite a lot, don't we? If you have no children, you have no stake in the future. I personally don't believe it, because I have no children. I care very much about the future of the country.
Yes.
Though I don't really believe Kamala does, but for different reasons. I just think she's kind of vacuous and self-involved and power-hungry. But But, you know, in theory, I think you can not have kids and still care about the future.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the problem with they're going to find with this is ever since he chose Vance as his VP, of course, Vance has said some pretty spicy things in the past because he's that kind of guy. He does sort of speak his mind. He's been described as a bit of a bulldog. So there's going to be stuff that you'll be able to find that he said. But is that really helpful at the moment?
Is it helpful for who? It's helpful for Kamala. It's helpful for... I mean, women don't like to be called cat ladies. They don't like that. But then again, all these women are calling... They're very free with calling men incels, which is even worse because most cat ladies decide not to have children, but most incels decide... They don't decide not to have...
At least they have cats as well. What's an incel got except an array
What's wrong with a cat? What's wrong with being a cat lady?
But this J.D. Vance guy, he was chosen. I saw the interview with Donald. And what did Donald say? He likes me a lot.
Look, his name dropping. Donald.
Well, we're both from New York.
Yeah.
But he says I chose him because he likes me a lot.
I like that he's honest about that.
You can't use all of J.D. Vance's past remarks because one of his past remarks was that Trump was awful and we should never vote for him. He was a never Trump.
That's true.
Yeah. Trump said when he met him, he fell in love with him.
I just wonder whether we shouldn't focus on what people are saying now. I mean, we can easily trawl through things that Kamala Harris is saying. There's no shortage of really, really imbecilic things that she said in the past. But let's leave all that aside and just have an argument about the here and now, right?
You said we need to sort of align with our friends in the Republic of North Korea, that one.
Well, it could be that. It could be that one. It could be when she sort of implied that Biden was a racist. I thought that was kind of extreme.
No,
We need to be. What you're saying, Andrew, is we need to be unburdened by what has been.
Yes, exactly.
On what can be.
Exactly. That's what we should say. What a beautiful phrase. Who came up with that?
The point is that Kamala... I think we should not focus on what J.D. Vance has said. We should focus on what Kamala has said because we don't like her.
OK, very interesting. Well, apparently we don't like her. That's the front pages expertly dissected. Join us in part 2, where we're going to have struggles in the White House, struggles in the airport, and struggles with Lewis staying on topic. Don't go anywhere.
Sunday with Michael Portillo from 11, only on GB News.
Karen Stevenson was born in Stoke-on-Trent and read music at Trinity College, Cambridge. She's played cello with many of the world's great orchestras under the batons of some of the most renowned conductors, and she joins me now to discuss her career and the importance of music in education. Tell me about that. What is your role at the Philharmonia?
My role at the Philharmonia is number 2 cello. I've been there for about 15 years. Sometimes I play number 1 cello as well, which is a great opportunity for me.
Well, it's interesting you say that because I often think what a very difficult life it is to be a professional musician.
I make a living out of it. It is definitely possible. We don't really like it when we get into a taxi and someone says, "What's your day job?" Because we work really hard.
I was kind of making the opposite point. Not that you'd also have a day job. I think the perfection that is required for a professional musician is extraordinary. On the whole, we are intolerant of mistakes in classical music.
Yes, we are.
And I just wondered whether you don't become very frustrated with a world in which everything else is imperfect.
You are only as good as your last concert, Michael. That's how it feels. It is a lot of pressure. Sometimes we will say, OK, a pint for every wrong note or something, but depending on the piece of music, that could be quite dangerous.
How many hours a day do you have to practice?
You have to practice much more when you're younger, I think, when you're learning. I think this is really important. And when you're at music college. I'm a busy, I'm travelling, I have a family. I can't practice as much as I used to, so you have to rely on your experience. What I really wanted to say is that there's been a lot of fear-mongering about classical music being in decline and it not being relevant. And I really wanted to say that I don't think that's the case. Our audiences have increased. They're the highest they've been in 10 years.
The People's Channel.
Tune in to Friday Night Live with me, Mark Dolan. GB News royalty with your perfect start to the weekend. Lucky us. Feisty and fearless guests.
Well, I'm a normal person, so ask me.
Honest opinions.
That raises more questions than a Gary Barlow tax return.
And a few surprises along the way.
Might be cold in this studio.
That is Friday Night Live with me, Mark Dolan. 8 to 9, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Camilla Tominey, for a frank and honest discussion with those in power that cuts through the spin and gets to the heart of the issues shaping our nation.
You haven't confirmed that you want to stand as leader, but you haven't ruled it out either.
This report basically says that he's not fit to stand trial. Is he indecisive? Incompetent? I deliver the dose of reality Westminster needs. That's the Camilla Tominey Show at 9:30 every Sunday on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Headliners. It's your first look at Friday's newspapers. I'm Andrew Doyle, and with me still are Lewis Schaefer, entertainer from New York, and Nick Dixon, the thinking man's Lewis Schaefer. And we're going to jump straight back in with Friday's Telegraph. The mayor has said not to use Manchester Airport for political purposes. I wouldn't even use it for travel purposes. Lewis.
Yeah, well, this is Andy Burnham, who's Labour. So he's like basically trying to say, don't kill the guy who's videoed kicking.
Can you explain the story a little bit?
The story is that something happened with some people of
I think you're giving us too many details, just one thing at a time. There was a video that went viral of white police, a white policeman kicking ethnic people in the head, an ethnic person in the head, and it's been. The individuals they were arresting had apparently attacked police officers and all the rest. I'm not justifying the kick in the head remotely. Right. I think it's completely wrong. But the point is, this is a big... Andy Burnham, I think, is trying to say, you don't know the full context. He's saying, I've seen the whole video. He's not justifying the kicking in the head, but he's saying this is perhaps more nuanced than, you know, the internet seems to...
Well, the question is not just the internet, it's on the news, and the question is, why are the powers that be in this country wanting to promote a race war over a guy, over a bad cop? Because a cop shouldn't kick somebody in the head.
Obviously not.
But a cop kicked a guy in the head.
I actually think, Nick, I mean, I've been a bit disturbed seeing online that people trying to justify the police officer kicking a man in the head. I think that, surely, if you're doing your job professionally, however violent the individual has been, his job is not to sink to that level.
Well, if you were going to defend him, you'd say if this guy did... Allegedly, they broke the female police officer's nose, and then you're responding to that, you're in the moment, you're dealing with violent people. Yeah. The idea that you might get carried away... I'm not necessarily excusing it, but it is possible.
But of course, we're now doing exactly what Andy Burnham says we shouldn't do, which is speculate about...
But Andy Burnham saying don't use this for political purposes. It's a policeman kicking, a Muslim in the head. I mean, that's about the most political possible situation that you could possibly have. So, of course, it's political, and everyone's making it political, but it's bound to be. So that's unlikely. I mean, Paul Waugh, MP, I saw today, is already condemning the police and sort of siding with the criminals, or alleged criminals. So it's already political, isn't it? MPs are using it for political gain.
But we've seen, obviously, protesters gathering outside the airport, a lot of people trying to politicise this. And, of course, it's not the first time. But, you know, we've seen this before where criminals become martyrs. George Floyd is a very good example. This could happen again, and it's very toxic when it starts to become about race.
It's not that it could happen again. I feel that they're promoting it. This is one step in us going into full-time chaos war in this country.
Right.
And you actually need the police to do their job, though, to stop it getting into that. That's the thing. Not necessarily kicking people in the head, but if the police don't get tougher, and I know it's a very hard job, they've been criticised as not being tough, two-tier policing and so on.
Yeah.
The police at some point have to start tackling criminals in a tough way, or people will take it into their own hands. So that's the other problem with that.
OK, well, let's move on now to Friday's Mail and mega jails. I like the sound of that. What's this all about?
Yeah, former RAF base used for asylum seekers could become mega jail. This is where the country is now. We need mega jails. So this is RAF Wethersfield, and it accommodates 500 asylum seekers, but it could accommodate 1,700 offenders if it became a mega jail, because the country is in such disarray. Normal jails are not enough now. We need mega jails. And
I thought they were letting people out of jails.
We're letting them out because
we can't afford it.
Because, yes, the prison population is, quote, within a few hundred places of collapse.
What does collapse mean?
Justice Secretary Shabana Mahmood. So there you go. So if we don't create these mega jails, we'll just have to keep letting all criminals off.
Why don't we just get a gladiatorial arena and have all the criminals fight it out to the bloody death? Would that be reasonable?
It's worked before.
No. What they need to do is they need to stop letting people into the country that causes this kind of chaos, and they need to punish the people who are here when they commit a crime.
Because there are criminals in this country, from this country, you do realise.
Yeah, and then they haven't been punished hard enough. They need to either be... they need to be killed.
I was going to agree with you till you said that.
I have to disagree. I'm sorry.
Well, you shouldn't. But why is there problems? The problem is the police, the putting people in prison doesn't work.
You want us to go back to the Elizabethan period where they kill people in the street in front of families. They pull their entrails out.
I actually believe in the death penalty, but the way Lewis just said kill, 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 it seemed much broader than that.
You know what? And those were the safest period in Britain.
Okay. The problem with that, of course, Lewis, is, as you know, a certain percentage of the prison population is innocent. Say, I think they estimate around 6 to 7%.
Yeah.
Which means that there are always miscarriages of justice, always.
Yes.
You will never, ever change that.
Yeah.
So if you have the death penalty, innocent people will 100% will die.
And I am against the death penalty as a libertarian. It's no business of the government to take someo's life.
You were just chanting kill, kill, kill.
I could have two.
Like vigilante.
I mean, are you trying to embody the duality of man?
Yes, I'm saying you have to figure out what to do with too many prisoners. You either have to punish them hard enough so that
I don't know what
prisoners.
Maybe like The Running Man. Do you remember that film? That's what you do with criminals. You put them all in a maze, and they have to fight each other with sort of.
And it would maybe make
I want to see Lewis get out of it. If the channel gets shut down, we should probably move on now.
OK, let's move on to the Daily Mail now, with the real reason Obama hasn't endorsed Kamala Harris, presumably too busy running the country, right?
Yeah, good call. Yeah, very interesting. It's why Obama has not yet endorsed Kamala Harris's presidential bid. So, yes, people noticed this, that he didn't give her the endorsement. And instead, he said this thing about, I have extraordinary confidence that the leaders of our party will be able to create a process from which an outstanding nominee emerges. Of course, they didn't have any process. They just installed this automatic candidate.
Well, they've denied that. They keep calling it a grassroots thing.
Yeah.
They say Kamala's rise has been a grassroots thing. They just keep using that phrase.
Completely transparent coup, yeah. I mean, and they point out there was no endorsement of Harris. So Obama is said to be, by this insider, now, of course, his spokespeople have denied it and so on, but very upset about Harris's candidacy and has said that she's incompetent, cannot navigate the landmines that are ahead of her, which seems incredibly likely, doesn't it? And he's furious about how it's gone down. Now, his senior advisor was just saying, no, he looks forward to helping the Democrats, and he'll be a sort of good asset to use at certain points strategically to help her, and that's why he hasn't said more. He's holding himself back. But I mean, he's right. I can see Obama. I could easily see him thinking she can't win. Why did they just install her like this? And maybe he thinks Michelle would have been better, or someone else.
I'd love to know what's going on behind the scenes.
I think he's even said that Cooper, was it Kelly, would be better on the ticket. I can't remember if it was Cooper or Kelly. There's Mark Kelly. Yeah, Mark Kelly. One source went on to allege that Obama would like to see Mark Kelly at the top of the ticket. He's the astronaut whose wife had an assassination attempt on her, and he's a very impressive guy. So maybe
Well, Obama's a smart guy. I mean, he will know that Kamala Harris is a very mediocre politician, and let's be honest, by Joe Biden's own admission, was a diversity hire. I mean, there's no getting around that. People are saying that's a right-wing slur, but Biden said it, right? And of course, Barack Obama hates Biden, and vice versa, and of course, Biden cannot stand Kamala Harris. So I'd love to get behind the scenes and just see what this Shakespearean mess is like.
What's an interesting theory that I saw is that they're doing this deliberately to get into our heads. So people say, oh, Barack Obama doesn't like her. And then we say he doesn't like her. And then he comes out saying he likes her. And he says, oh, you were just a conspiracy theorist by saying Barack Obama doesn't like her.
So you're saying this is an elaborate psyop?
This is a psyop. This is what the CIA does, the FBI does, is like they're just creating some kind of things. They're making it seem like this woman is fighting even against Barack Obama. Because the truth is, Barack Obama, he's like in The Prisoner, right? Remember, the TV show The Prisoner?
Yeah.
He's the number 2 guy. He's like the main guy in the Democratic Party.
Why would the Democrat/deep state establishment want to pit their beloved candidate, or former president, Obama, against their candidate? What would the advantage of that be?
I don't think that he's thinking this is a way to help the situation, because when it all comes out, they'll say, oh, you were just a crazy conspiracy theorist.
Okay.
I'm not saying this is just a theory. This is Dr. Brett Weinstein. You know the guy, right?
I met him last week or 2 weeks ago.
Yes, and
this is what Weinstein said.
This is what Brett Weinstein says. If I quoted him, I apologize.
You decide it's not, maybe, although you might have just misquoted it.
Well, you can go look at the YouTube video.
Right, well,
that's where I get my
Let's all do that. We've got a break coming up shortly. But anyway, we're going to stick with the Mail now. A political slogan gone wrong. What's this about?
Yeah, this is Tom Tugendhat. Tom Tugendhat, Tory leadership hopeful, was forced to change his campaign slogan after it was discovered that it spelled out Can I say what it's spelled out?
Probably not.
You can spell it.
T-U-R-D, because this was in the Daily Mail, and because his thing was together we can unite, rebuild, unite the party.
It doesn't look like it does spell that, but I think it's because of the way it was put on the screen.
It did spell it, yeah. If you look at a screenshot, going downwards, it did.
Well, that's obviously just an accident.
I suggested this story, and I just took away. And the great thing would have been making Lewis say that word, and I just saved him at the last minute. I don't know why. But yeah, you can see it was last minute change because it looked when they fixed it. It then said instead of defeat Labour, it said win back the country, and it's much longer than the other text because they've had to change it last minute.
Okay.
So it doesn't spell this.
But you would have thought that the people doing this sort of PR and the focus groups and all that would have spotted that.
You would
right?
have, but they didn't. And, you know, the Tories have had some problems, I hear, with competence lately, so it's probably another one of those. But Tugendhat already, apparently, in the BBC Today programme, was sort of prevaricating about whether he really would leave the ECHR. That's the big issue now. He said he'll leave the ECHR, which is surprising for One Nation there. But now he's rolling back, and it's some people say.
Nick, do you have a favourite for the Tory leader?
Well, Suella's my favourite, but if she runs, but maybe she's not running.
OK.
And,
is she one you would like to win? Who do you think will win?
Oh, sorry. I think Jenrick has a chance, but probably Kemi is still the favourite.
Yeah, I mean, I would go with Kemi personally, but what do you think, Lewis?
I think that if they get this guy Tugendhat, they will have basically sealed their fate. There's no middle ground anymore in British politics. Because he's middle ground. He's not going to get rid of the ECHR. And the people on this side, whatever side it is, hate the ECHR. The left love the ECHR because they want to be part of Team World, which is Team Europe.
Wow.
So this guy, and who I've actually met, he's as flat as a wet dish.
I couldn't disagree more. I met Tom Tugendhat. I thought he was smart and interesting, and I think he's.
Was he fighting for Britain?
I don't know what you mean when you say Team World, though.
What Team World is? Team World is the left. Is that saying we want to have open immigration, we want to have constant climate change. Whatever it is, doing stuff. It's everything that we hate, which is all the left wing. Not that I hate it, but everything.
Are you trying to say in a roundabout way that you would prefer a more right wing leader of the Conservative Party?
I'm saying if you do not exactly right. Yes, right wing. Yeah. But instead, there's.
So if they want a right, well, then you would go with Nick. I mean, presumably Suella is the right wing candidate.
Kemi's more right, and then you've got Cleverly and Tugendhat on the other side. But the depressing thing is that the ECHR is the new Brexit. It's just going to be whether we leave, but this time the ECHR, that's going to play out massively.
All right, well, that's all for part 2. But after the break, we've got the BBC in peril, voter ID being racist, and a milkshake brings all the boys to Farage. Stay tuned.
Good evening. This is your latest GB News weather forecast coming to you from the Met Office. There's likely to be something a bit drier and warmer early next week, but before then, plenty of showers. And actually, through the end of today, there is still some more persistent rain affecting some parts of the southeast due to a waving frontal system that's already brought quite a bit of rain. That rain in the far southeast should clear through as we go through the next few hours, though. And so for many, it is going to be a largely dry night, just a scattering of showers continuing across western parts of Scotland in particular, also parts of Northern Ireland and northwest England. Many places, though, having some clear skies, and it may be a touch fresher than last night towards the northwest, still quite warm and muggy towards the southeast. And as we go through tomorrow morning, then a bright start for many. Maybe the odd pocket of mist and fog around, but I think on the whole it's largely dry. A few showers already pushing into parts of western England and Wales, but further east a drier story. A few showers also for western parts of Northern Ireland, but it's down the western side of Scotland where the showers are going to be most frequent, and there could already be some heavy ones as we go through the morning. Eastern parts of Scotland clinging on to some fine sunny weather through a large chunk of the morning, but as we head towards the afternoon, those showers are going to become a bit more widespread. Some of them could be on the heavy side, and there could be the odd rumble of thunder mixed in, albeit they don't look as intense as the showers that we saw yesterday. Plenty of showers for Northern Ireland. Parts of western England and Wales may see a few showers, staying dry towards the east, and a decent amount of sunshine, and with that feeling pretty warm again, temperatures in the mid-20s for some. Looking ahead to Saturday, and after a mostly fine start for many of us, we are going to see the showers developing yet again. Slight differences in where we're most likely to see the showers. Probably Northern England, North Wales could see their heaviest showers on Saturday, and they could be quite slow moving because the winds will be dropping out a little bit. But Sunday into Monday looks drier and warmer. Bye-bye.
Weekdays on GB News. Wake up to breakfast every day from 6 a.m. Followed by Britain's newsroom at 9:30. At noon, it's Good Afternoon Britain. Followed by Martin Daubney from 3 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Okoye, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
It's true. You're not wrong. No one will be cancelled. Lovely.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
I'm Christopher Hope. From pop stars to politicians, I'll interview anybody in a pub who's got a political opinion. Join me every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube or gbnews.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. This is GB News, the People's Channel.
Welcome back to Headliners, your first look at Friday's newspapers. We're going to jump straight back in with The Guardian now. Some good old-fashioned racism of low expectations. What's happening, Nick?
Cut to me on drinking water. Yeah, it's UK voter ID laws attack democratic rights of people of colour, say artists in open letters. So Lenny Henry and Nish Kapoor and some other people, there's quite a long list, have in this odd letter saying that voter ID laws are an attack on the democratic rights of people of colour because 6.5% of voters of colour were turned away from the polling booth at least once, compared with 2.5% of white voters. So,
well, they're saying that
in a poll,
people of colour are less likely to have voter ID.
Yeah, but the reason I think it's silly is just get ID.
Can you explain this to me, Nick? Because honestly, I keep hearing this. I've heard these stories in America as well about how voter ID is racist. Why can't ethnic minority people apply for ID?
They can. I mean, that's what's kind of offensive about the whole thing. I never understood that. Yeah, you can obviously get ID. I mean, it's just that empirically it seems, according to these polls, they don't tend to. Therefore, it's victimising them based on the data. But of course, they could just get ID. And it's not like it's a sort of a freedom issue, really. Like, oh, it's the chips in your head, or the Tony Blair ID, or the the centralised currency, the cashless society. Really, we've already got ID. It's just bring your ID down. I don't think it's a massive
I'd like to see a bunch of celebrities now write an open letter complaining about the racism of these celebrities, implying that black people can't apply for ID.
Well, that's been suggested. It's been suggested in America that the point is that everybody has ID, like an American here. You have a driver's license. You know, there's tons of different stuff that people have that they carry around with them, and the reason why they care about this is because people without an ID vote for the left. That's why they're against it.
But why?
Because they're letting masses of people into the country.
Are you saying left-wing people are just more lazy?
No, they're not that
lazy,
because they come into the country and they don't have ID because they're here illegally. There's a huge amount. And the numbers of people who are here in the country, they say it's 66 million, but it's not 66 million. It's closer to 70. I've heard 77 million. It's part of this. All these stories are the exact same thing. Our enemy over there, right, wants us to be one big blur with no states, no borders, which is why they attack Israel, which is why this country has become completely overrun.
Wow.
Is that too much?
Well, I just noticed you're getting more right-wing the more
because I'm saying, no, you know what it is? I'm saying if you want a leftist country, then go against voter ID. Okay. Because when you have the people coming in, when you have 1 million people coming into the country, right?
Well, my concern was more this insinuation that the ethnic minority people are incapable of applying for ID, which just strikes me as racist.
Because you're a word man. This is not about words. This is about the idea that people who don't...
It's like Biden. You're a word man.
You're a word man. It bothers you that somebody's feelings are hurt.
I'm going to have to put a stop to this. We're going to move on to the Metro now. This is a gay festival which has been criticised for throwing milkshakes.
I've had 2 weeks away from this. I've been over at holiday.
It doesn't show.
You've been in Malta, and you've forgotten all your social skills.
Yes.
Demagogue.
I know.
Who's covering the gay milkshakes?
That's me.
All right.
That's me. LGBT Pride Festival criticised for throwing milkshakes over Nigel Farage game. They have a game where you can throw a milkshake, and if you hit the milkshake on Nigel Farage...
But it's not actually Nigel Farage, it's a cutout.
It's a cutout of Nigel Farage. But what does it say to the people? It says it's okay to throw a milkshake on Nigel Farage. It's not okay. And this should be, I don't know whether it should be against the law, but maybe they should throw the milkshakes at the people running the thing.
I mean, for balance, they should have had, you know, like someone from the Labour Party and throw a milkshake at them. The thing is, Lewis, that they're going a bit far. You know, some of the people complaining about it are saying that this is incitement to violence. Since the assassination attempt on Trump, this is particularly irresponsible and should be... I'm like, they are throwing sponges. Like, I don't think this is incitement to violence.
Well, yeah.
Well, considering that people have thrown things on Nigel Farage at least twice that I know of...
Did those people throw those things because they once went to a fairground where they had a throw milkshake at Nigel Farage game and they were incited to do so?
No, but this is more... It is a bit of incitement. I don't know if it should be illegal. I don't think it should be illegal to do that.
I think what you're missing, Andrew, is that it's part of the culture that encourages that and makes it seem okay to dehumanise people like Farage, throw milkshakes on him. He now can't even get on a train. He has to go by car, he has to have security. We have seen the Trump assassination attempt. The idea is you're allowed to just do anything you want to people on that side of politics, on the right, on the Conservative side, and this is part of that. I know it's silly on its own,
I think it's infantile. I think it's infantile. I think it's not.
Worse than that.
I think it's not helpful, but I don't think it's incitement to violence.
It's not incitement on its own, but it's part of a wider culture that makes it a permissive culture of attacks against Conservative figures.
Yes, but you wouldn't want to see this banned, would you? On the grounds that it creates a culture within which a certain attitude can thrive, because then you're going to be banning everything.
Yeah, I'd probably ban it.
You would ban it?
Yeah.
But on what grounds?
Just the grounds I've just said.
Well, no, but then everything gets banned.
You're still believing in sort of classical liberalism. We're beyond that. It's about get power and crush the other side. That's where we are now.
I said Andrew's a word man.
But anyway, people could say your last statement should be banned because the phrase "crush someone" is violent.
They've tried to crush us. They always cancel and crush us. They've got people have tried to get me sacked from this job. It's about seizing power and being the other side. You can't reason with these people.
Well, I think we need to restore, you know, basic,
you believe in liberalism,
classic
and that's nice.
liberal values.
Nice,
Andrew is a word man.
You keep saying this, but I don't really... What do you mean by this? A word man?
He even knows.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
Now, we've got a story and a half to tell you and bring you now. Our very own GB News political correspondent, who we love very much, Catherine Foster, joins us in the studio, and she's smiling, but she wasn't smiling for the past few days.
two of her sons, Matthew and Andrew, were reported missing in Bali.
I got a text from a friend saying, can you give us a call, a bit worried about them. Then spoke to a girl they'd befriended who was in Sweden, but they'd met on their travels. And she told me that they'd gone up the mountain. By the time I found out, they'd been missing for 30 hours. They'd gone up the mountain on the Tuesday night, British time. This was the Thursday morning, without a guide. And they'd told her it was really hard. And she told them to turn back, but they hadn't. And they'd sent screenshots from this app with this trail that they were following on the app, screenshots of the app in case there was a problem, and a Snapchat of a Matthew avatar at the top. And she said, I know they made it to the top because I could see that his phone had nearly died. But the trail had actually closed many years ago. So the app, we will need to make sure that that gets taken off the app. But, you know, technology saved them in the end because it was the screenshots and it was the messages that they'd sent, but they should never have been without a guide.
But what were you doing during those 30 hours that Mum couldn't, when the phone died and Mum couldn't get in touch? Where were you? What were you up to?
Well, we were trying to figure out the best course of action, because it started to pour with rain. The amount of rain created a river, like a stream.
Yeah.
We were like, oh,
yeah,
let's follow the stream downhill, and then the sun set, and we just had to like sleep in the bushes in the jungle.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Join me, Neil Oliver, every Sunday night at 6 p.m. on GB News. And if an hour is not nearly enough for you, go to gbnews.com for special extended episodes online every Friday at 9 p.m, where we can truly get into the nitty-gritty of what's going on. GB News, Britain's news channel.
Every Saturday, 10 till 12, we'll bring you all of the news that you need to know. We'll also remind you that there is so much to smile about.
It's my favourite time of the week. I get to relax, enjoy some light-hearted stories, and let Ellie teach me about fashion too.
That's Saturday Morning Live, every Saturday, 10 till 12.
Only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel, and as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/your-say. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
Hi there, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and I'm going to take a second to tell you all about my show, Dubes & Co. We start off with the issues of the day. We then bring in both sides of the arguments. We get rid of the disrespect, and then you throw me into the mix. And trust me, I'll tell it exactly how it is. And then, of course, the magic ingredient, you at home. We mix it all together, and what have we got? In my opinion, the best debate show in town. Monday to Friday, 6 till 7 on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain.
Your lunchtime update on the stories that matter across the UK.
From breaking news and insightful analysis, inspiring stories and lively debates. You're comparing yourself to a former Prime Minister.
Which is it? Stay informed, stay updated, stay entertained.
I just don't know how anyone would not want to be there.
Every weekday from midday.
We are Good Afternoon Britain, only on GB News.
Britain's news channel.
I'm Patrick Christie's. Every weeknight from 9, I bring you 2 hours of unmissable, explosive debate and headline-grabbing interviews. What impact has that had?
We got death threats and the bomb threat and so on.
As time passes,
she could have said storm. You made my argument for me.
My guest and I tackle the issues that really matter with a sharp take on every story.
Went everywhere.
Something practical could be done. Or I can become something different. Patrick Christie's tonight from 9 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hi there, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and I'm going to take a second to tell you all about my show, Dubes & Co. We start off with the issues of the day. We then bring in both sides of the arguments. We get rid of the disrespect, and then you throw me into the mix. And trust me, I'll tell it exactly how it is. And then, of course, the magic ingredient, you at home. We mix it all together, and what have we got? In my opinion, the best debate show in town. Monday to Friday, 6 till 7 on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Are the newspapers getting you down?
My wife didn't divorce me that month.
Struggling to separate the wheat from the chaff?
I know that it's a bit of a circus at the best of times.
Well, don't worry, Headliners has got you covered. We'll take the burden of reading the day's news, and if we get depressed, who cares? It's an occupational hazard, frankly. That's Headliners on GB News from 11 p.m. till midnight, and the following morning, 5 till 6 a.m. on GB News, the comedy channel. Nah, just kidding. Britain's news channel. I'm Patrick Christie's. Every weeknight from 9, I bring you 2 hours of unmissable, explosive debate and headline-grabbing interviews. What impact has that had?
We got death threats and the bomb threats on.
As time passes,
She could have said Storm.
you made my argument for me.
My guest and I tackle the issues that really matter with a sharp take on every story.
Went everywhere.
Something practical could be done.
I can become something different.
Patrick Christie's tonight from 9 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel. Are the newspapers getting you down?
My wife didn't divorce me that month.
Struggling to separate the wheat from the chaff?
I know that it's a bit of a circus at the best of times.
Well, don't worry, Headliners has got you covered. We'll take the burden of reading the day's news, and if we get depressed, who cares? It's an occupational hazard, frankly. That's Headliners on GB News from 11 p.m. till midnight, and the following morning, 5 till 6 a.m. on GB News, the comedy channel. Nah, just kidding. Britain's news channel.
Hi there, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and I'm going to take a second to tell you all about my show, Jubes & Co. We start off with the issues of the day. We then bring in both sides of the argument. We get rid of the disrespect. And then you throw me into the mix. And trust me, I'll tell it exactly how it is. And then, of course, the magic ingredient, you at home. We mix it all together, and what have we got? In my opinion, the best debate show in town. Monday to Friday, 6 till 7 on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain.
Your lunchtime update on the stories that matter across the UK.
From breaking news and insightful analysis, inspiring stories and lively debates. You're comparing yourself to a former Prime Minister.
Which is it?
Stay informed, stay updated, stay entertained.
I just don't know how anyone would not want to be there.
Every weekday from midday,
We are Good Afternoon Britain, only on GB News.
Britain's news channel.
Are the newspapers getting you down?
My wife didn't divorce me that month.
Struggling to separate the wheat from the chaff?
I know that it's a bit of a circus at the best of times.
Well, don't worry, Headliners has got you covered. We'll take the burden of reading the day's news, and if we get depressed, who cares? It's an occupational hazard, frankly. That's Headliners on GB News from 11 p.m. till midnight, and the following morning, 5 till 6 a.m. on GB News, the comedy channel. Nah, just kidding. Britain's news channel.
Hi there, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and I'm going to take a second to tell you all about my show, Jubes & Co. We start off with the issues of the day. We then bring in both sides of the argument. We get rid of the disrespect. And then you throw me into the mix. And trust me, I'll tell it exactly how it is. And then, of course, the magic ingredient, you at home. We mix it all together, and what have we got? In my opinion, the best debate show in town. Monday to Friday, 6 till 7 on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain.
Your lunchtime update on the stories that matter across the UK.
From breaking news and insightful analysis, inspiring stories and lively debates. You're comparing yourself to a former Prime Minister.
Which is it?
Stay informed, stay updated, stay entertained.
I just don't know how anyone would not want to be there.
Every weekday from midday,
We are Good Afternoon Britain, only on GB News.
Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Okoye, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
It's true. You're not wrong. No one will be cancelled.
Lovely. Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
GB News brings you accurate reporting of the day's topical agenda.
When the news breaks, wherever and whenever it's happening,
We'll be there.
This is GB News.
the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
I'm Patrick Christie's. Every weeknight from 9, I bring you 2 hours of unmissable, explosive debate and headline-grabbing interviews. What impact has that had?
We got death threats and the bomb threats on.
As time passes, she could have said, "Stump,
You made my argument for me.
My guests and I tackle the issues that really matter with a sharp take on every story.
Went everywhere.
something practical could be done."
Or I can become something different. Patrick Christie's tonight from 9 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hi there, I'm Michelle Dewberry and I'm going to take a second to tell you all about my show, Jubes & Co. We start off with the issues of the day. We then bring in both sides of the argument. We get rid of the disrespect. And then you throw me into the mix. And trust me, I'll tell it exactly how it is. And then, of course, the magic ingredient, you at home. We mix it all together and what have we got, in my opinion, the best debate show in town. Monday to Friday, 6 till 7 on GB News, Britain's news channel.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel. And as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/your say. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
If you want your news to be straight talking,
This is a nightmare for the Conservatives again.
down to earth,
It's not just Nottingham where this is happening, is it?
and most importantly, honest,
Hard-working, middle-class taxpayers, they'll get their book thrown at them.
then catch me, Martin Daubney, Monday to Friday, 3 till 6 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Neil Oliver, every Sunday night at 6 p.m. on GB News. And if an hour is not nearly enough for you, go to gbnews.com for special extended episodes online every Friday at 9 p.m, where we can truly get into the nitty-gritty of what's going on. GB News, Britain's news channel.
Every Saturday, 10 till 12, we'll bring you all of the news that you need to know. We'll also remind you that there is so much to smile about.
It's my favourite time of the week. I get to relax, enjoy some light-hearted stories, and let Ellie teach me about fashion too.
That's Saturday Morning Live, every Saturday, 10 till 12.
Only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
GB News brings you accurate reporting of the day's topical agenda.
When the news breaks, wherever and